Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Charles in Charge Cowboys Sports Report. It is Friday. I believe it is the 17th of May, about 11:15 Central Time, my time. I tried to do a live show just now, but when your channel's small, doing live shows are hit and miss. Some are good, some are just crickets. I'm going to do my early May prognostication of our 2024 regular season schedule, and I've got Philly, Giants, and the Commanders schedule in front of me also. Redskins, always be the Redskins of me. I've got some interesting points to get into here first, but guys, that red subscribe button that you see in front of you is free. It costs you nothing. Think of it as a free investment, because my show, believe it or not, can really blow up and become a rocket ship. I'm 100 away from 500, and then after that, my goal is to hit 1,000. When I hit 1,000, this show will take off, have all the bells and whistles, a desktop for film and graphics, so I can break down film, show y'all things instead of just explaining it by word, the studio equipment with sound bites, microphone, the whole setup. You know, right now, this is my background, as best I can do. Me and myself on right now, and the call-in line I will have, which is essential. So people can call in before the game, after the game, before signing, after signing, but whatever. Let your voice be heard. Law Nation is the only one that does that. I'm surprised nobody else does it either, because that is key for a live show, to have a call-in line. And you're not dealing with no 20-year-old punk kid that's been watching the Cowboys for a little bit. My first game was Super Bowl 28 against Buffalo at the Georgia Dome, where we were losing 13-6.5, came back to win 30-13. First Cowboy game I ever witnessed. That night, I bled blue and silver, no rhyme or reason. Since then, from the 94 season on, I've seen about every play of every game. It was that real for me. Played the game my entire youth, been a student of the game my entire life. I bring my own take to this situation. Everybody has their own take that they bring to it. Mike Fisher has a journalistic take. Law Nation's kind of a mix of both. He has a journalistic take and his fan take. Mark Holmes and Roman them is Cowboys fan talk, really. That sums it up the best. Me, I bring my side of my Cowboy fan talk. My experience playing the game, my 30 years of knowing this team and the Joneses. I don't have a bell. If y'all watch Fish at 6, I don't have that bell yet. But I'm going to do it just with a tap of a pen, guys. If y'all will implore me and help me get this to where I want it to go, this will be a show y'all will look forward to watching. I guarantee it. If you subscribe and you don't like my content, in the next few weeks, you can unsubscribe. It's free. No harm, no foul, no hard feelings, guys. On the count of 3, help me out, guys. We all bleed the same blood, blue and silver. Promote me. Let me get to where I need to be so I can entertain y'all and we can talk real ball, guys. On the count of 3, hit that red subscribe button. 1, 2, 3, subscribe. If you did it, you're a real one, and I love you for it. You're making an investment for the future. That thumbs up, that like button. Basically, it helps your video get viewed more. The more likes on the video, my shows will pop up on feeds that it wouldn't necessarily pop up on, and new people get to see me and whatnot. That like button takes you a second. It's free. On the count of 3, hit the like button. 1, 2, 3, boom. If you did it, you're a real one, and I love you for it. All right, guys, let's get to the nitty gritty here. 16-game schedule. And we're division winners, so we got the first place schedule. First place schedule brings on teams like 49ers, the Lions, and the Texans. Where, with Philly, it brings on the Rams and Jacksonville. And who else? Who was right below Detroit? Green Bay. Now, actually, Green Bay for Philly, which is Detroit for us, actually looking like a tough matchup. They're going to be at Green Bay week 1. The Eagles are. And instead of the Texans, they got Jacksonville, who, when playing well, when the Prince is playing well, can be a force to be reckoned with. they'll be at home against Green Bay, at home against Jacksonville, and then at the Rams, they'll be at the Rams. And the Rams turned it on at the end of the season, made the postseason. We did beat them 43-20, and after that, they started to turn it on. Now us, week 1, the way the schedule lays out, week 1 now becomes even that much more important. Now it's 8 away games, 9 home games, right? Before last game at home against Green Bay, that horrible playoff loss. Before that loss, the last time we lost at home was week 1 of the 2022 season against Tampa Bay. And after that, we won the last 8 at home to finish up 22. And last season, ran the table at the house. And last season, we were averaging 40 points a game at the crib. That's why we were so excited with the 2 seed, because we knew we had 2 home playoff games, on our way to Levi Stadium in the Bay. But we struggled on the road last year. We were 4-5 on the road, 8 home at home. 4-5 on the road, right? You're like, well, that's almost splitting. It's almost 50-50. Not really, because 3 of the 4 wins, you had the Giants. Week 1, they were 6-11. Washington, 4-13. Carolina, 2-15. And the other home game that we won is even mentioned. The Chargers finished 5-12. So the 4 home games that we won, the best team was the Giants at 6-11. 6-11, 5-12, 4-13, 2-15. So, not too proud on that fact. The 5 road games that we lost just happened to be against playoff teams. San Fran, Buffalo, Miami, Arizona, not a playoff team, but an upset team on the road. Then we had 1 more road loss besides that, and that was at Philly. So out of the 5 road losses, 4 of them were playoff teams. That hasn't changed this season. That's why I think week 1 at Cleveland, the result of that game could change the course of the entire season. Now, what I think we had the edge on that game, the whole reason why is quarterback. Deshaun Watson hasn't been the same guy since he was with the Texans. When he got in trouble and he was out of the game for a while, and when he came back to the game and injury after injury, last season they had Kevin O'Connell and that's it, coach. They had Joe Flacco and some other kid. And then in the playoff game, they had like the 4th-string guy playing against the Houston defense. Browns have a very good defense. Very good defense. Myles Garrett anchor in the front. Denzel Ward and them in the secondary. It's going to be a defensive battle. It's going to be outside on grass. The only difference between these 2 teams is a quarterback. Dak's second-team All-Pro last season. And with all these trade rumors about us talking to Carolina trying to get Miles Sanders, if we can get 1 running back of Miles Sanders' caliber, he didn't do well last year because he played for Carolina, who won 2 games, had no offensive line, no receivers, rookie quarterback. So they knew they were going to run the football, and he had nowhere to go. Year before that, he had a great year with Philly. Good line, weapons on the outside, good quarterback. Now, it's not necessary that we get a Miles Sanders type back, but if we do, that'd be the perfect complement. A running back number 1, good scat back with Zeke complimentary power back, and then change of pace with Dowdle or Deuce Vaughn. I say we beat Cleveland in a low-scoring affair. Say it's 16-13, something like that. An ugly game. mud on the uniform, you know. So I'm going to go on a limb. Now I know people are going to say that Dak's going to choke the game away and you know, throw all these picks and whatnot. People need to realize this offensive line here, even though it's going to have 2 rookies starting, these aren't 2 of your run-of-the-mill rookies. At least the center's not Connor Beebe. And all we need is Tyler Guyton to play okay. He ain't even got to be that good. Just okay. He just has to play decent. Just not get beat every time he turns around. If he can play as well as Tyler Smith did his rookie season, then we'll be cooking with some damn super grease. Because Connor Beebe is embracing this center role, and he is a monster. And when you get a monster rookie like that, a mauler, and that he's going to be playing a new position center, but to the left of him and right of him are all pro guards. We have the best guard tandem in the NFL. By far, Tyler Smith, young buck, super strong. Zach Martin, Hall of Famer. Connor Beebe's going to fit right in the middle right there. And that middle of that offensive line is going to be vicious. And if Terrence Steele can get back to 100%, he was one of the best run blocking right tackles in the NFL. And then Tyler Guyton played next to Tyler Smith. You know, our first round draft picks on linemen, when's the last time it didn't hit? We've picked 4 since 2011. Ty Smith was a right tackle at USC when drafted because a quarterback at USC was a left-hander. So when we drafted Tyron, he had to transition to left tackle because he was right tackle. But in 2011, his rookie year, they kept him at right tackle, Doug Free at left. And then in 2020, they put him at left tackle. Now, Guyton will go straight to left tackle. He's got the size and intangibles to really make it happen, and the arm length and everything. And I think they'll have him coached up and ready to go. I think this offensive line this season will be better than it has been since 2018, 2019. I am saying that for real. And that this will be, all these guys run block better than pass block, which is huge. Because if we can run the ball at will through the whole season, you know, in 2022, we ran the ball really well half the year. And that was it. And then, you know, Terrence Steele gets hurt and everything. Last season, no, it was 2021. 2021, we ran the ball pretty well for about half the season. And then it just kind of hit a brick wall. And then 2022, we ran the ball really well for 3/4 of the year till Terrence Steele got hurt. Then last season, we just weren't able to run the ball that well at all. Being that we didn't have no power back, and it was, you know, Zeke Elliott and Rico Dowdle. I mean, it was Pollard, Rico Dowdle, and really that's it. Deuce Vaughn had a couple carries here and there. But this is going to be a run-first offense, and that's going to be a big factor in the win against Cleveland. It's running that football, neutralizing Myles Garrett, and letting CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks in year 2. You know, in year 1, he was kind of disappointing. New system, new quarterback, everything. In the second year with Dak, second year in this system, Brandon Cooks will be a 1,000-yard receiver at number 2. Tolbert at number 3. And number 4 and 5, Turpin and Brooks. Our receiving core will be just fine. And Ferguson, you know, shining. He'll be a 1,000-yard tight end too, probably. Week 2, at home against the Saints. That's going to be a walk in the park. 2-0 start. And then week 3, NFL's game of the week, Baltimore comes to town. Now, if this is at M&T Bank Stadium at Maryland, I'd be leaning towards Baltimore. But I believe this is a game that this team will be up for, really up for, and handle the business and beat Baltimore. It ain't going to be no blowout, even though that'd be really nice. But I think it'd be like 24-17, 27-17 type win playing at home. And I know Mike Zimmer will have a spy on Lamar. As long as Jackson does not gash us for 100, 150 yards on the ground. Zay Flowers, Audi, Odell Beckham, he's not the same receiver. I believe that we can beat Baltimore at home, and that we will. This team is better than y'all think, guys. It really, just because we, there's a saying that, how's it go? That inaction is not the same as, I got to think of the saying. Anyway, it's kind of like 2022, how I was saying it's addition by subtraction. When we let Lyle Collins go, and Randy Gregory walk, and Connor Williams walk, and all these guys left and right, trading Cooper for a 6, you know what I mean? Losing all these guys, and we're like, what are we doing? All we do is sign James Washington, Dante Fowler. We lost all these star players. It's a punt season, and we were that close to get to the chip game that year. This season, I believe, will be better than that 2022 squad. So in the first 3 weeks, we get 2 quality wins, one on the road, one at home, both in the same division, AFC North, Cleveland and Baltimore. And then we have a short turnaround Thursday night, week 4 at Giants. We own the Giants, and we will for the foreseeable future, especially as long as number 4 is playing quarterback. It's a 4-0 start right there, guys. Then week 5, it's interesting because the first 3 primetime games that we have is on the road. That was interesting how they did that. Week 5, we're going to go to Pittsburgh. And there's a lot of history between these two teams. We'll be right in a 4-game winning streak. Pittsburgh might be 2-2, 3-1 at the time. Kenny Pickett might be picking it up. It'll be a hostile environment. And I think Pittsburgh steals one from us. I think we're the better team, but Pittsburgh is going to steal that game. Those of us who stay up late to watch the primetime games will have a miserable Monday morning that following day, but we'll still be 4-1. Pittsburgh and L. Now, after this video, I want y'all to tell me y'all's prediction and where y'all agree or disagree. Then we got week 6 at home against Detroit before the bye week. Now, Detroit last season at home, 19-20 with a controversial ending. Detroit wound up getting to the chip game, barely losing to San Fran because Dan Campbell can't stop gambling. You know what I mean? Like, Dan Campbell should have just kicked the extra point from the 6-yard line after they threw the first flag on the 2-point conversion against us to go in overtime to play. And against San Fran, he made 2 huge bonehead moves, being uber aggressive, and it backfired, and that's why they didn't go to the Super Bowl. I think Detroit is going to regress a little bit this season. Jared Goff just got the bag, $43 million a year for the next 4 years. What was it? $172 million, I believe, is $172 million over 4 years, something like that. $43 million a year. I think they take a tiny step back. And a lot of people, including Detroit, say that they won that game, and the Cowboys want to put that to rest. And I think that we're going to give Detroit all they can handle. I think it's going to be like a 31-20 type game or a 38-20 type game. I really do. I think Dak's going to unleash. And by, week 6, that running game is going to be going. Our defense will be settled in. Trayvon Diggs should be ready by training camp. And if he is, I believe by week 1, with his mindset and his makeup, I believe that he will pick up where he left off. I don't believe he will be anything like Michael Gallup was coming off that knee tear. I think Trayvon Diggs will come back like he never left, as Rome would say. And him and Deron Bland, with Jordan Lewis and the nickel. Mike Zimmer said that they have moved on from Gilmore, but I don't think that's a wise decision. Gilmore is still a free agent. And if we can get Gilly for, $3, $4, $5 million for one deal. Do it, because depth is the name of the game, man. If we didn't have Gilly last season, we'd been up shit creek without a paddle, like we were the year before. When Anthony Brown went down, opposite Trayvon Diggs, Bland was in the slot as a rookie, balling it out, and we had a revolving door where Brown was, and Sean Wright, Xavier Rhodes, like 4 or 5 guys. Nobody could handle, the deal. We had Gilly last year. Diggs goes down, so Bland goes from the slot to play outside. Does pretty good, and we kept Jordan Lewis. Thank God we did. Veteran slot corner to move into the slot. So our cornerbacks were still okay, even though our best cornerback went down for the year. Now, with only Diggs, Bland, and Lewis as our starting 3, if one of them goes down, now if Jordan Lewis goes down, Israel McCollum could probably come in and hold down that nickel, that nickel spot. But if Bland or Diggs goes down, you don't have a Gilmore to come in and play opposite, bookend, We need to sign that man. The veteran leadership is very important, and he can still play ball. He ain't prime no more, but he can still play ball. But we go into the bye week with a big win over Detroit, trying to make a statement. Now, a lot of people will be moving the goalposts right now because these 3 quality wins in the first 6 weeks at Cleveland, at home against Baltimore, home against Detroit. Say Cleveland, Detroit, or Baltimore. See 1 or 2 of the teams aren't looking so good in the first 6 weeks. They're going to take those quality wins and say, well, Cleveland's struggling, or, Lamar's kind of hurt. Just like to say da-da-da. They're going to move the goalposts on us. We have the bye week, week 7. We come out week 8, fully rested, but we go into Levi Stadium to the scene of the crime, which I do not believe. Now, if this game was in AT&T Stadium, I would give us a good shot, but it's in Levi Stadium. It would be our 4th consecutive loss to this team. But that's okay, as long as I see that we're competitive. If we can play the Niners down to the final second of that clock, then it's a 23-20 type game. Something like that, 2021, a 7-point game. 2022, it was a 6-point game. And the last season was a blowout. If we lose and it's, 3-4 point loss, 24-20, 23-20, I'm okay with that, because that means that we rode with them all the way. But I think San Fran will take that victory, and I hate to say that because in doing so, that'll probably make the 1 seed a lot more harder to get, unless San Fran slides down the stretch. Last year's game against San Fran in October, say we would have won that game, then we would have had the inside track to the 1 seed. We'd have the tiebreaker head-to-head over San Fran. We finished with the same record as the Niners, but they beat us head-to-head, so they got the 1 seed. We finished with the same record as Detroit, but we had to head over them, so we had the 2 seed, they had the 3 seed. I guess Detroit played San Fran last year. I didn't know that they did, but apparently they did, and that's why they got the 3 seed. Because if Detroit didn't play the Niners, then it would have went to who had the best conference record, just like in 2014, when us, Seattle, and Green Bay all finished 12-4, and we beat Seattle during the regular season, but didn't play Green Bay. So they made it, best conference record, and we were 4-4 in the NFC, 8-0 in the AFC. So we got the 3rd seed, got the shaft, didn't get the bye week. So San Fran knocks us off right there. So we go into the bye week 5-1. Come out with a loss to San Fran. San Fran, we were 5-2 after week 8. Then we come home to lick our wounds against Atlanta. In Atlanta, we manhandled them. We manhandle Atlanta like a 40 to 3 type game, or 48 to 3 type game. I mean, blow the doors off them. A get right game, basically. 6-2. That's your 8 games. Then week 10 at home against Philly. What do y'all think about that first game against Philly? It'll be during the daytime. It'll be 3:30 CBS. Let's look at it this way. Before the Eagles play us, Eagles got the Packers at home week 1, Atlanta at home week 2, then at the Saints, then at the Bucks. Then they have an early bye week 5. Then week 6, home against the Browns. Week 7 at the Giants. Week 8 at the Bengals, and then home against Jacksonville. So out of those 8 teams, because they have a bye week 5, Green Bay, Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Jacksonville. 4 teams that could pose a problem out of the 8. Honestly, Atlanta, the Saints, the Bucks, and the Giants, Eagles should beat them. Now, it depends. Is this going to be the Eagles team that we saw the last 7 games of last season? I don't think they're going to be like that, because that was one of the worst late season slides I've ever witnessed. But Green Bay is going to be one to make a name for themselves. Jordan Love, he is ascending. So with Green Bay, Cleveland, Cincy, and the Jags, they could have, 2 losses, possibly 3 at that time, going into the Week 10 showdown at AT&T Stadium. Now, at home, I don't think Philly's going to take us. I think we're going to make a statement to most bitterest rival. I know we play them Week 17 in the cold. But Week 10 at home, we're going to handle business, and we're going to, take them out and go to 7-2. And I think it'll be kind of like the last game that we played against Philly, where we beat them 33-13, something like that. I think we're going to come out fast, come out strong, especially coming off that Falcons game. After we shellac Atlanta, we're going to be feeling really good. We're not traveling, we're staying home. Philly's traveling. And then I think, we're going to get the best of them. Kellen Moore's offensive coordinator right now. He's more of an air raid type guy. If they don't run the ball a whole lot and they want to throw the football, so be it. I know they got Saquon Barkley. I know that. They had DeAndre Swift last season. The talent level between the two is not that big of a gap. It really isn't. And Saquon is very injury prone, just like DeAndre Swift was. Swift did not get injured last season for the first time in his career. Saquon played mostly all last season. But before that, a lot of times he'd get knocked up real early for the rest of the year. So, I wouldn't put all my marbles on Saquon if I were, Philadelphia. So 7-2. Going into Week 11 at home against Texans Monday Night Football. I-45 state rivalry. It's called the Governor's Cup. Anytime we play Houston Texans or former Oilers, it's for the Governor's Cup. Whoever wins the game gets the Governor's Cup. It's kind of like a little thing. I don't like Houston. I don't know why. It's like I used to hate the Oilers, even though I live in Houston. But I have to admit, from 2022, from last year, D'Amico Ryans really flipped that franchise, and they are ascending. They have a good rookie quarterback. That defense is just going to get better because that's D'Amico's specialty. And didn't the Texans get Stephon Diggs? They have Diggs, Tank Dell. They have a slew of receivers. Offensive line is a big question mark on that team right there. I still believe they still have Laramie Tunsil at left tackle, but offensive line is yet to be desired. Have a pretty decent back, but I don't think they're there yet. I don't think they're ready to compete with a team like us yet. They can they can beat teams like the Browns sometimes. They can beat their teams, the Colts, Titans, Jags, guys in the division. But that Monday Night Football game, especially at home, it'll be our third straight home game. And that is when we have... Is that part of the 3 games in 5 days deal? Yeah, so no, that begins the 3 games in 5 days. Phillies October November 10th, then Houston's November 18th. So that will begin our 3 games in 10 days. And we take care of business against Houston. Now, if y'all think I'm just plumb crazy with this prognostication, feel free to let me know. But I'm pretty confident about this, and we will revisit this after the regular season. I guarantee you my win total will probably be on the money. If it's not, it'll be off by 1, either win or loss. So 8-2, beat Houston. And then in 6 days, we go to Washington, and we rub Dan Quinn's face in the mud. I mean, rub it in the mud. That game against Green Bay, that Dan Quinn defense was the worst defensive performance, defensive play calling I've ever seen from a Dan Quinn unit in his tenure with this team. I believe that... hard to prove, but I believe that he knew that he had the Washington job already. Even though they had interviews lined up and Washington had interviews, I believe under the table there was some words spoken, and he knew that he was going to be the Commanders coach for next season. And I believe that during that Green Bay playoff game, being that we weren't the 1 seed, we're the wild card round, and we had to go all 4 rounds to get there, that he just wasn't in it all the way. And his head was in the clouds. And even after it was 26-7, I keep saying, even if offense just started clicking and Dak started scoring every drive, it would not have mattered. Because anytime we would score, they would score right afterwards, but quicker. We'd score on a 6-play drive, they'd score on a 3-play drive. We couldn't stop a nosebleed, run, or the pass. It was so bad. And then he wants to go to Washington, our division rival. He wants to take Dante Fowler and Dorrance Armstrong and Tyler Biotish and whoever else with him to, his team. Thank God Al Harris stayed here as defensive backs coach, assistant head coach. I don't want to rub Washington's face in the mud twice this year and twice next year and twice the year after that. So we go to Washington after the Monday Night Football game, and we just, even though it's on the road and it's late November, maybe a little bit chilly, we just give it to Washington. and Tank and Micah and Mozzie and them boys, Osa, make that rookie quarterback question his career choice. I'm dead serious. And I'm not being a homer on this prognostication. This is what I honestly feel in my heart. And in 2022, when I was making these predictions that we'd go 12-5 at least, that we'd beat the Rams by at least 2 scores, and this and that, everybody said I was crazy. The beginning of the season, they said it was a punt season. We had no shot. That we were tanking for somebody in the draft, all that bullshit. I can see through the silver lining. And we will demolish Washington because we will have both those games circled on our calendar. It's become bad blood now. And then after that Washington game, my Tourette's, guys. I apologize. I can get my Tourette's under control whenever I try. We'll be 9-2 going into Thanksgiving. After we whoop down Washington 4 days later, the Giants come to our house and they gonna get the same kind of whooping too. The Giants will not be able to touch us this season, just like any other season. 10-2. After Thanksgiving. And then we have a nice, decent, well, that's 11/28. They were playing Giants. Okay, yeah, 12-9. Yeah, and so we have a long week before we play Cincy, which will be at home. And everybody knows Bengals start slow at the beginning of the year, but towards the end of the year, they start to turn it on, either to try to get to the postseason or secure the division or secure a seed. And I think they come in and they play ball, play really good ball, and get passes. I think they they go and passes there. After Thanksgiving at 10-2, everybody's gonna be talking about 15-2. Can we go 15-2? Number 1 seed locked up no matter what at 15-2. But sometimes when our head gets big, we start to smell our own piss. And that can get in our way. And I think Cincinnati will come in and give us kind of a sobering wake-up call. Because up until then, we will be on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On a 5-game winning streak from Atlanta, Philly, Houston, Washington, New York. And it's not a blowout with Cincy. It's a high-scoring affair, I would say. Grown quarterbacking. A game that's probably like 35-28, something like that. But we lose against Cincinnati and go to 11-3 after 13 games. And then week 15, we go to Carolina. Kind of like a bye week, really. Maybe get up on them quick. 28-35 in the first half. In the second half, you know, in games where you're up by 4 or 5 touchdowns in the first half, coming out to the third quarter, you would think that they would try some new stuff, you know what I mean? Experiment a little bit. But we go to Carolina, we beat them down. We get that W. We go to 11-3. Not bad after 14 games. And that Cincinnati game, by the way, is on Monday Night Football. Then we have Tampa Bay, Sunday Night Football. 9-8, they won the South last year, the 4 seed. They come to our house and they get just walloped. Just walloped. Puts us at 12-3. Now to go 14-3 is really, really hard to do. Now, our last 2 games are at Philly, December 29th, which, weather permitting, probably be pretty cold. Hopefully, there's no snow. Hopefully, it's not that bad. Because I went to the Buffalo game last season. That was week 15. I was at Highmark Stadium, and it was cold, chilly, but it wasn't bad at all. It didn't really start drizzling till the 4th quarter. But if the weather's like that at Philly, that won't be bad at all. Now, if the weather's like, 13 degrees, wind chill, -10, with flurries or snow, that's a whole different ball game there. Now, depending on what Philly's looking like and where they're seating at, Week 17 plays a lot into how this works. Now they have Green Bay, Atlanta, Saints, Bucks before the bye week. So they probably 3-1 at that point. To play the Browns, say the Browns beat them again, 3-2. Say they beat the Giants, beat Cincinnati. That's 5-2. Say they beat the Jags 6-2. They fall to us 6-3. Then Philly plays Washington 7-3. They play the Rams. Say they win that 8-3. Then they go to Baltimore. Not an easy play to play at Baltimore in week 13. Say they drop that. So that'd be 3-1, 3-2. So that would be 9-4, right? So lose at Green Bay, beat Atlanta, Saints, and Bucks 3-1. Lose against the Browns 3-2. Beat the Giants 4-2, 5-2, 6-2, 6-3, 7-3, 8-3. And then when they play the Ravens, they dropped that 8-4. They play Carolina 9-4, beat Pittsburgh 10-4, beat Washington 11-4. I think a good chance that Philly probably be 11-4 going into week 17 at home against us. Now, being that we beat them the first game, the best they can do is split with us. And I'm assuming that we're going to sweep the Giants and Washington as I have depicted on here. I believe Washington will too. Now maybe the Giants, week 18 or the first game, week 7, get the best of them like they did last year. Both games against the Giants last season, Philadelphia struggled with. And Philly struggles with Washington the last 2 years. They have. So I have them at 11-4, but if they were to drop one against Washington away against the Giants, that would move it back to 10-5. But say they're 11-4. And if the Cowboys go into Philly and get the win, they will clinch the East. If that's a scenario, I'd be confident enough to say Cowboys go in there to win back-to-back division titles since 92 to 96. And sweep the NFC East for the third time in franchise history. They did it in 2000. They did it in 1998 when we had Arizona in the division. Did it in 2021. 2024. I would not be surprised. Which puts us at a franchise best win total at 13-3. And then week 18 versus Washington, it depends. If we have a shot for the 1 seed, if we win, and maybe San Fran loses or something, we probably play that game all the way. Now, if by some God's grace miracle, by beating Philly week 17, we lock up the number 1 seed, then I would think that we would play against Washington and then take our bye week, because you don't want to have 2 weeks off in a row. It's usually not a good thing. We did that in 2007. No. We did that in 2016. That was a no. You want to play that last game, even if you have the 1 seed locked in, and then just have 1 week off. 2 weeks off, you get rust. Now, if we're tied with Detroit or some black horse NFC team for the 2nd seed, and if we beat Washington, we'll clinch seed number 2. Then we will play. We'll play, of course, and it's gonna be at home. And that would be a whopping 14-3 record. Now, if we beat Philly and we have clinched the number 2 seed and we cannot do any better, we can't get the 1 seed. San Fran, whoever has clinched the 1 seed and we clinch the 2 seed by beating Philly, then I would think that we would not play against Washington and make that our bye week. Make that our bye week going into the postseason. Week 18, no practice for the starters. They rest during the game. And they get ready for wildcard weekend to play the 7 seed. So I'm just going to say a loss. Please, pardon me for that. I've got some medication to get it under control. But don't crucify me. I got it down as a 13-4 record for the regular season. We're not going to be a wild card team. We're not going to be seed 5, 6, or 7. We're not going to be the 4th seed. The lowest seed we'll get will be the 3 seed, and the highest will be the 1 seed. We will be one of the top 3 teams in the NFC throughout the duration of the season. Right now it is San Fran, Dallas, Detroit, and Philly. Philly right now on the outskirts of that, being what they looked like last season. The last 7 games of last season. But right now, the 3 powerhouses of the NFC, as it stands, is San Fran, Detroit, and Dallas, I would say. Pretty equal, because we did beat the Lions head-to-head, and then Philly. But 13-4 is what I see. And I see the Eagles finishing 11-6, 12-5, something like that, as a 5th seed that nobody wants to play. I believe Green Bay might give Detroit a run for the money for the NFC North. NFC South, Tampa Bay probably has a good a good shot of repeating their division champ there. I know they finished with the same record as the Saints, but Green Bay or Detroit for the North, Tampa Bay for the South. I think the Cowboys emerged from the East, and unless Seattle really blows up this season and they have immense talent, they can do it. As y'all remember that game against Seattle, 41-35 Thursday night. I don't see anybody dethroning San Fran from the West. That's my early prognostication. As of May, now August, we'll do it again. After some more additions and subtractions are made. But if we get a running back like Miles Sanders and we pick up a defensive tackle like Calais Campbell, who I wanted last season, man, the man is 38 years old and still one of the best interior defensive linemen in the game. In 2022, Calais Campbell's stat line was better than our collective defensive tackle room all put together. And I wanted him so bad last season, I thought we'd go get him to shore up that inside with Hankins. But he goes to Atlanta, and I'm thinking, dude, you're 37 then. You've made as much money as you can. Why not ring chase? Now he's 38. He still got it. Ring chase. And for God's sake, don't go to San Fran or Philly if you're going to do that. If we were to get a Miles Sanders at running back, trade a third or a second to Philly, to Carolina. Do it, because he is worth it. Miles Sanders still has a lot of gas to go in that tank. If we were to acquire him or somebody as good or almost as good as him, and a Calais Campbell to play in the middle with Osa and Mozzie, that would really solidify the whole team right there. And maybe the reason that we're not really worried about Gilmore is that cornerback we took in day 3. Hearing a lot of good things about him. If there, is an injury in the cornerback room during the season, maybe that kid comes in and plays like DeRon Bland did in 2022. Comes in and just balls out off the get. Who knows? But we know that our cornerbacks 1 and 2, our bookend corners, are all pro cornerbacks. Jordan Lewis is a veteran nickel corner drafted in 2017. We have solid safeties and Malik Hooker at free safety, Donovan Wilson, strong safety, and he can lay the wood. At linebacker, we got Eric Kendricks, who will quarterback this defense. He knows Mike Zimmer very well. He's not a spring chicken anymore, but he's like Gilmore in a way where, you can make up with a decline of physicality with your mind. Still play very good ball. Damone Clark is going into his 3rd year. Had a great rookie season. Disappointing 2nd year does not mean his 3rd year will not be good. And then DeMarvion Overshawn. Supposed to be the star of the draft last season. Didn't get his chance to play. If he's fully recovered, I'd be excited to see what he can do. Our 3rd round pick, Puka Nakua's cousin, the guy at Notre Dame. Our linebacking core, has a nice old veteran in there to go with a bunch of young guys. So, secondary looks really good right now. And behind the safeties of Hooker and Wilson, you still got Wanye Thomas, who we want to see play because he looks like he got mad skills. And Marquise Bell's going back to the safety position. He is very talented. And Israel Mukwamu, also at free safety. He's defensive back, really. He plays safety and can play nickel corner. You think of that, and you think of the defensive line. Starting ends are, Tank Lawrence and Micah Parsons. Two completely different style ends. You got one pass rushing specialist from hell, and then the other guy, Tank, is an overall dominant defensive end who can still get after the passer, but is one of the best run-stopping defensive ends in the game. Then you have Osei Odigizua, who is really coming on year after year as a force 3-tech inside. Inside, Mozzie Smith, a lot of people think Mike Zimmer, he will fit a lot better in his scheme going into his second year. And watch these kids' bodies from year one, rookie season, to year two. They look like a different person in year two after they have a whole off season of workout and training. Having Osa Odigizua and Mozzie Smith and Chauncey Golston, and hopefully bringing one more veteran there to shore up that defensive tackle position. Looks pretty good. And behind Micah, and Tank, you got Sam Williams and you got Marshawn Nealon. Sam Williams, pass rushing specialist. Marshawn Nealon, more of a Tank Lawrence type guy, more of a run-stopping, physical defensive end. Our defense, if Mike Zimmer can call the right plays and get that running game stopped, our defense can be very scary. Very scary. What we thought it could have been last season could be this year. Then you go on offense. Quarterback, Dak Prescott, see what you want to. No, he didn't play good against the Packers. He was second team All-Pro last year in the new offensive scheme. With a carousel of receivers the last 3 years. In 2021, Amari was his number one. The last 2 years, CeeDee Lamb has been his number one. Last season, his number two became Cooks, not Gallup. Gallup never recovered from the 2022 tear. No, the 2021 tear. And Jalen Tolbert is going to his third year. But you got Dak Prescott, who is a good quarterback. CeeDee Lamb is alpha number one. Brandon Cooks, number two wide receiver. With his second year in the system, second year with Prescott, he is going to show what he could do. He's been a 1,000-yard guy everywhere he's went. I believe he'll be a 1,000-yard receiver number two for us this year. Jalen Tolbert is a new Michael Gallup. Not really a slot guy, just an X receiver on the outside. Then Kevontae Turpin, Cooks is fast, but Kevontae Turpin, whole nother level fast. He's getting better at the receiver position. And Jalen Brooks, our 7th-round pick last year, he looked good last season every time his number got called. He is progressing. Tight ends, Jake Ferguson. Telling you, man, just like we've had 4 great 88s, Drew Pearson, Michael Irvin, Des Bryant, now CeeDee Lamb. It's like we might have our 4th grade tight end. We had Jackie Slater, Jay Novacek, Jason Witten, now Jake Ferguson. This kid will be the next Travis Kelce. And even Travis Kelce said it when I did last season. Well, actually, the season before that when he was behind Dalton Schultz. He's going to break out this year and become a freaking monster, a nightmare for defensive coordinators. And then behind them, you have a battle with Shoemaker, Hendershot, McEwen, and a list of UDFAs. The only one safe is Ferguson. Schoonmaker probably is safe because of his high second-round pedigree. Other than that, it's going to be a battle. Our tight end room is going to be solid. Offensive line. Tyler Guyton at left tackle. Tyler Smith at left guard. Connor Beebe at center. Zach Martin right guard. Terrence Steele right tackle. Interior backup TJ Bass for each guard position. TJ Bass, really good. He's pretty damn good. Now, he's not better than Tyler Smith or Zach Martin. Those are 2 all-pro guys. But any other teams, TJ Bass would be a starter. And for swing tackle, you got Chuma Edoga, who could hold down the fort for a couple games if need be. But Tyler Guyton from week 1 through week 18. We'll be getting better every week. Same with Connor Beebe. And this offensive line is full of maulers and just balls and just nastiness. And they will move defensive linemen off the ball. Big lines like Philly and San Fran. Watch this Cowboy offensive line. This revamped, physical, young offensive line. Move these boys. Only elder statesman is Zach Martin at 33. And he can play till 38, 39 years old because he's not had an injury-filled career. That's if he wants to play that long, and I believe he can. And he can play that long at a high level as the best guard in the league. I guarantee you that. Man, there's so much to be excited about this season, guys. And in the running back room, right now we have Ezekiel Elliott, Rico Dowdle, Deuce Vaughn, Maurice Freeman. Now, if we get a Miles Sanders or any outside running back that is decently good, ain't got to be great, just decently good, would be good to go. Now, the phone's about to die, guys. I have got to get out of here. Keep God first and foremost. He comes before everything, even this. Seek him in his righteousness, and all these other things will be added unto you. I'm living testimony of that, guys. This is my early prognostication of this season. Please hit that subscribe button. Please like and share, guys. If you're watching to the end, you're a real one, and I love you for it. I will catch y'all later on this weekend, guys. It's Friday night. Have a good night. Subscribe, like, and share. Please, I can upload that enough, guys. I love y'all. I'll catch y'all soon. Charles in Charge, Cowboys Sports Report is out.